Hello everyone. So I'm doing a presentation about following rules, and I think it's important to do this because, well, it's a new year, and this is sort of what I've learned throughout the entirety of last year, just thinking about my trading and journaling, and I'll be try to talk about some of the personal experiences that I've had in this presentation. Maybe a little bit, we'll see, but let's start. So, first of all, I want to just shout out Randy Howell. Recently found out about his channel, and these are two really good videos over here. I'll link him in the description. But I really like his content. He is a therapist who didn't really trade. I don't think he really trades at all. He started to see that there was a lot of money to be made in that sector. So he started to be a therapist for traders and to analyze, how traders really think, or how they should think, how profitable ones think. And so he has years of experience doing this with traders, and he just makes videos there. So check him out. But let's start. So human brain. Now, one thing about the human mind is it's wired to control outcome, and this is very primitive. So for thousands of years, when the human mind is faced with uncertainty and we face stress, brain will look to take action according to the emotions you're feeling, and that's produced by the limbic system. So what's determining those emotions that you're feeling is the set of beliefs and mental strengths, and depending on how well you build those or what your beliefs are, you'll act differently, obviously. But you must be aware of your subconscious thoughts. In trading, we take sole responsibility for our results. We cannot be late, pass the work to another, and make excuses, etc. And when doubts creep in, you must quiet them and affirm the opposite until you really believe it. When we see loss, we think negatively about our performance, and that is to say, we lack the beliefs about managing uncertainty to pull out money from the market. So being aware of your subconscious thoughts is very important, because oftentimes the subconscious thoughts is what we're not really aware of, but it is what kind of causes us to make a lot of the decisions that we make. So in trading, right, it's not like in the business world where our success depends on just an organization. If you make a mistake, it's not necessarily the end of the world. The organization will continue. You'll probably still have your job. But in trading, if you make a mistake, it could mean the destruction of your entire account, and that could destroy you, destroy your entire business. So you have the ability to lose yearly salaries. You can't really do that in not many other places of work. So it's very when we see loss, we think about how we lose money, and that's usually associated with negativity. Or we see that we lose and we didn't perform well, or maybe you don't have enough trades or whatever, and we might still make money, but you might be upset about your win rate and stuff like that. So you need to understand that managing uncertainty is how you're going to pull out money from the market, not getting more wins or getting the best trades. So anyways, in trading, hard work does not make more money. Most of the time, hard work is your own enemy. So this is to say that the harder you work, really, the worse off you might be, because again, it's not the success does not lie in the technical analysis. So basically what I say here is you cannot demand the market to bend to your will, no matter how right you think you might be about something working out. In the end, you are not in the heads of the market makers, and you cannot tell with absolute certainty what price will do next. Therefore, there's no room for frustration if you get it wrong. What I'm saying here is because oftentimes I would try and learn. And I would learn so much that, I knew quite a bit. I would look at many different educators, not just ICT too, and I would try and really be there for every single move, and it made me more confident, and I was safer. So, but really what that did is I had a belief that the more I learned about price action, the easier it would be for me to become profitable. In a way, that's sort of true, but it won't happen if you don't have certain mental strengths and beliefs about trading that will allow you to use that knowledge to your best of abilities. However, what you do with that knowledge, if you have a bunch of it and you don't have the good right mental strengths, you don't have the right beliefs about your trading, about managing uncertainty, then what you'll do is whenever you're faced with stress and uncertainty, what you'll do is you'll start to, your beliefs are that more knowledge equals better. So you'll start to do things that you know might work. Like if you know price will go a certain area, but maybe it doesn't fit into your rules, but you're also down money and you want to make money, you have uncertainty, you're under stress, you're going to just throw away your rules and you're going to focus on knowledge, right? So, however, if you were to stick to your rules, it's because you're affirming that the outcome is random, even though you might think it's not random and you know where it's going to go. If you start to believe that it's random, that because you can't tell with absolute certainty, which is true, no one can tell with absolute certainty what price will do next. You humble yourself and you sort of say, I could be wrong. And you know what? My rules, however, that's what will allow me to make money. So, I'll talk more about how you can see your individual trades. But for now, I'll just finish these quotes. There's a couple quotes I really like. One of them was my own. But this one's by Bruce Lee. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. You put water into a bottle and it becomes a bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Now water can flow or it can be crash. Be water, my friend. This was given to me by one of my friends. He really likes this quote. And another one I made is water can turn into steam and steam can turn into water. Just like our actions can produce feelings, our feelings can produce actions. So this is about your beliefs and your mental strengths, and what you believe really will determine what you do in these charts. And so you need to understand that, just like Bruce Lee said, be water. Let your rules do the work for you, right? Whether it's a loss or a win, or whether it's a trade or not, just follow the rules. And we'll talk more about the individual trades, but first we need to talk about money. So focusing solely on making money, more money, will cause stress over losing money. The stress can create emotional responses detrimental to your trading. Now, this is pretty obvious. I think this is probably one of the easiest challenges to overcome in trading is money. But on most jobs, at least for me, making more money, the amount of money I make has not really been too much of a problem, except for when I make too much. But mainly, the next part is where I had most problems, which is, things like pride. But at most jobs, you make money by working hard. In trading, you make money by being patient and following your rules. So it's very different, right? We don't make more money in trading by working hard. I mean, you can, but most of the time, if the harder you work, the more trades you find, and then the more odds are that you will eventually outdo yourself, and you'll maybe run into too many losses, and you're risking, losing control too much. Where if you just follow rules, it becomes a lot easier. It becomes not as hard as if you didn't have any rules and you were just there naked, discretionary in the chart. So it's very different, and one must rewire their brain so that losing money is not a problem. Because one thing you need to understand is that if you stop working super hard to make money and all you do is just follow a set of rules, which is pretty easy. I mean, I'm talking about a set of rules that say there's not much room for discretion. There can be a little discretion, but generally it's okay. Like, for example, you have indicators and they tell you what to do. If the indicators are showing up a certain way, then you have all the indicators you need, and you have conditions in the market that are met, then boom, you take a trade with this much risk and reward. All right, let's just say that's what it is. It's a very simple trade that's black and white, and a child could do it, a toddler could do it, right? Without really learning how to trade, just how to buy and sell and how to place a stop loss and take profit. But that's all that. If that's all you really need, it's not very hard to do. It's just that it's a lot different when you do that, because you need to understand that if you follow your rules, you might still lose, and that's okay. Your rules you shouldn't have a set of rules and expect them to have a 100% win rate. That's just unrealistic. So every single strategy will eventually just have a loss, right? And whether it's, every single one will have losses. You have to accept it. And so if there is going to be losses, then all of a sudden, if you are thinking that you're going to go into these charts following a set of rules, and you believe that those set of rules is the key to making money, then simply you won't be disappointed by a loss, because you believe that in the end, those rules will make you money. But if you're focused on making more money, the most amount of money, then obviously taking a loss, losing money is going to affect you. And if you're not focused on following those rules, then there's going to be room for disappointment and frustration. But for example, let's say you must respect a maximum losing day of some value, and you happen to reach this value after 2 trades. If you don't hold appropriate beliefs about money, then you will want to make it back what you lost, to the point where you'd rather lose it all than actually accept losing. And this is a very important quote for me, because this is when I heard this this ICT that said this once, but I really thought about it and it really hit me, because this is almost every single time I gamble. Actually, every single time I gamble and I blow an account, I over leverage, I use too much money, and I'm just frustrated and I want to make it back. I feel like I'm not going to make it unless I do that. I'm essentially just drunk, intoxicated while on the chart. But in every single time, I've always rathered losing all the money I have available to me than actually look at my account and see that I lost, and I still have money there, but I don't want to accept that I lost, right? It's not that I'd rather lose it all, it's just that I'd rather take the chance, the small chance of making it all back, than accept that I lost everything. So it needs to get to a point where I just lose it all. And what you're really doing is you're preferring risk everything than actually accept losing something. In a sober mindset, it's better to lose something than actually lose everything. But in the moment, we're not ourselves, and we rather just lose everything. That's the truth, is you'd rather lose it all than actually accept losing. The next point is, don't be influenced by your technical knowledge to find new trades outside your rules to make money. This is, I already kind of talked about this. The worst thing that can happen is you're successful doing this, because your brain will associate bad behavior with good results. This is what creates bad habits. If you do something that's not part of your rules, something that's a bad habit, a bad practice, and you're actually successful, this is very bad. Let's just say you need to start trading at 9:30 and you wake up at 9 and you just get on the charts right away, and you don't actually, you're supposed to have a morning routine or whatever, or maybe you get on the charts late. Maybe you get on the charts 30 minutes late and you're actually successful. It's going to be, your brain is going to associate that with positivity, and you may be less inclined to stick to whatever your routine, or if you do something in the chart that's technical, that wasn't part of your rules, you're going to be more inclined to start doing that more often. Maybe subconsciously too. But anyways, then the last part is, consider the effects of leverage. Leverage increases risks and rewards, intensifies stress due to more money being involved, makes you more prone to experience demons, or makes them stronger if you're not prepared for the leverage. And this is obviously, this is very obvious, but I guess the easiest way to deal with this is just to remove the money. Just look at either ticks, percentages, take off the amount of money up or down completely. Maybe you have a tab where you place in your trade and you close that tab, and then you just look at your screen. You don't look at anything else. The screen, that has the charting on, and it doesn't have your trade visible. The broker or whatever is on another tab, and it's tabbed out, so you don't actually see the profit and loss. You just kind of see where price is and where your take profit is, and you just let it ride and all that. So this is a big part of the demons, and personally, what I've had the most trouble with is pride and doubt. I've never really been too greedy, but I've had most trouble with pride. So I think a lot of people do. And in fact, I think pride is one of the worst things, or one of the hardest demons to deal with for all people. But anyways, pride is fueled by a need to feel worthiness and to matter. And this is obvious. When you're prideful, it's because you really need to feel worth it. And oftentimes people trade and they make money, and they make all sorts of money, and they think that now they matter and that they're worth something, and that now they all of a sudden life is better now that they're making money. And that creates this next part, a cycle of negativity where losses reinforce doubts. And so if you're in this mindset, and this is how very much I was when I started making money this year, in 2024, I started getting with payouts, and what this created was a cycle of negativity. My losses then, after getting the payout, reinforced doubts, and I'll talk about doubts, but this is a cycle where, I'm not trading to feel like I matter or I'm worth it or anything. Pride can be fought with humility and being humble, but the next thing that happens is when you have these doubts, you start to have excessive self-criticism. And so you start to criticize yourself, you start to question things, you start to change things, and this can undermine your confidence and create fears of failure. And again, it's a whole cycle. Then you fail, and then you go back to what you're supposed to do. You're in the right mindset, and you build it up again, and then all of a sudden you start to win, and you start to feel you're worth it, and you don't continue that winning streak or whatever you got to get there, and then all of a sudden you start to doubt, and then you start to fear failure to the point where you are just essentially intoxicated, and well, you just destroy yourself. Now, feeling good about your wins will result in feeling bad from your losses. This emotional instability can lead to bad decisions, and so essentially it's pretty simple. Next thing is a Bible quote: "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." So let's talk about basically before. Almost all the time before you fall and you have destruction, pride comes first, which in trading is 100% true. There should be no room for pride if outcomes of trades are determined by a set of rules. Being right all the time is impossible, and you must not mix up being right with success. So it's very simple, but if you have a set of rules, then you should take pride in following those rules. And if following those rules means you have a bad trade, then that's what it is. It is what it is. See, I say this somewhere in, I think it's a little later in the presentation, but if you have a trade, and the trade, is all the rules are met, all the conditions, everything you might need for that trade to take it is met, but you think it's gonna lose. Maybe you were in a bad condition or in a bad market condition. That could be part of your rules. Don't trade if maybe it's before news or whatever. But let's just say it's a good trade. Everything looks good. You believe it's not about believing it's gonna work. You see, it's just about, does it fit your rules? And if it fits your rules, then who cares if it wins or loses? It fit your rules, right? So you should see it as a good trade, even if it loses. Anyways, next is doubt. Doubt can turn a perfectly healthy trading account into a disaster. Doubt works slowly, creeping in more and more until eventually it causes you to let go of your rules. Managing doubt is about cultivating a balance between confidence and humility. Trust your plan and embrace that trading involves both wins and losses. Do not ignore doubt. It is very important to be aware and constantly affirm the opposite. Otherwise, doubt can erode your discipline and confidence. And often doubt is, again, like a lack of trust. You need to understand that the more, I think the best way of combating doubt is to really have a lot of data, a model that you have data to look back on and say, okay, I've seen enough charts to know that this will work. If you trust that, if you don't trust that, then you don't have enough evidence. You need to go look back for more. You need to back test, or you need to forward test. See, if for any learning trader, the reason why you should paper trade and be profitable for a good 6 months is so you have data. And during the whole time, you're not trying to see if you have the skills to be profitable. You're just trying to see if you have the beliefs to be able to manage uncertainty, which is what will make you unprofitable. See, there's uncertainty, which means there's always a room for doubt. But if you trust your plan and your rules, then there won't be any room for doubt. And so if you're a learning student and you're paper trading, then it's easy. You just need to go and gather data, and you absolutely do not care if you're unprofitable or profitable. all you're trying to do is within 6 months, does this model work? Does it make money? Does it lose money? And then you tweak it after a set amount of trades or a set amount of months. And you look at your data and you see, okay, what could I change? What is it worth it to change this? Will it give me more setups? Will it take away less setups if it gives me more losses and wins? And is it worth the risk to reward? These are the sorts of work that you really need to do at one point in your trading career. And I feel like it happens after you learn how to trade. And for most people, they go into trading too early before they've done this part, and they kind of get caught up into making all sorts of money, and it creates bad habits. Anyways, greed. You may start to use more leverage or taking more trades, and these things will increase the stress levels that may impact rationality. Taking profit before or after you were supposed to may be a byproduct of greed. The fear of missing out is a big fear among traders. If the market is going to be there tomorrow, then there is no reason to fear missed opportunities. There's a typo there. Greed will prevent embracing losses. This can cause revenge trading or over leveraging to make money back after you lose. That's very true, that if you're in trading to make a whole lot of money, that might be the reason you came in, and you need to understand that it's possible to make a whole lot of money, but it might take longer than you thought, and you need to be willing to submit to that time to allow that whatever length of time you need to be profitable play out. You need to be okay with that, and that's very important, or then you're gonna have more stress and you're gonna create fears of missing out, and that could create all sorts of other problems from there. Last part is knowledge. Knowledge is a double-edged sword. It can be disastrous or it can help you, even if you change your beliefs and mental strengths. The more you know, the more you can be distracted, second guess something, or make a mistake. Or not necessarily make a mistake, but you see, like if you have a model, a plan that is very simple and dumbed down, but you doubt it's going to work for a second because you might know something else, another indicator that's telling you don't do it. And all of a sudden you start to second guess yourself and you don't follow your rules and take the trade. And imagine if it works, and you're going to be disappointed. You're going to kick yourself in the foot. And even if it doesn't work, you shouldn't feel any different. Again, you're not focusing on whether the trade wins or loses. You're focusing simply on managing the uncertainty, and that means to follow the rules. Knowledge makes it harder to be compassionate when you make mistakes that lead you to criticize your performance, and this is very important. Having compassion is probably the most important thing for a trader to really change. But if you have all this knowledge about how price works and how price moves, then it'll be harder for you to be compassionate and to say, it'll be harder to be compassionate and not criticize your performance. If you followed your rules and you've taken a couple losses, you shouldn't be criticizing your performance in a negative way. You should be praising that, because even though you're facing a couple losses, you're still following your rules. And if at the end of 3 months or 30, 20 trades, you start to take a break and you have enough data to look back on, and you think that maybe there's a better way of trading, then you can start to tweak your plan, right? Until you have something that you're comfortable with. But you can't just do that trade by trade, week by week. You need to have lots of data to look back on and to say, okay, how can I make this so that I can pull out a little bit more money out of the markets? And when taking a trade, you are always faced with uncertainty. It is crucial to develop mental strengths to handle this uncertainty, because building confidence through chart knowledge will only take you so far until you lose one too many times, and yes, you will lose. So when I say knowledge, it's very important that your knowledge is rooted in the mental strengths, beliefs, and the data that support the rules that you have for your model. Otherwise, if you just look for how to make money using technical knowledge or fundamental knowledge, you will end up losing eventually, and it may be too much, and you may not have the right knowledge to deal with that loss. So how should you view the outcomes of trades? Your trading account is a barometer to whether you are following your rules or not. The money in your trading account at the end of the month represents the extent to which you follow your rules and not how many trades you've won. It's very simple. You should repeat this every day. You don't view the outcome in any way that you can control. Control is an illusion, and it comes down to practicing a rule-based approach. You must separate your inherent worth from your trading. Next time you ask yourself, was the setup worth taking? Would I take it again? If you follow your rules, then the answer is yes. If you really mean it, then this means you will be disciplined and you won't fear the outcome of a trade. And a very simple answer to being disciplined is not to start to work out and go for runs and stick to things you'd say, make your bed in the morning. These are small things that can allow you to have discipline in your life. But it doesn't mean you have discipline in your life, you'll necessarily have discipline in your charts. Right? To have discipline means that you have a set of beliefs that tell you that if you do this thing, even though you might not like doing it, it'll be good for you in the long run. And this is essentially what you're doing when you're following your rules. Is a setup worth taking? Would I take it again? In other words, did the setup meet all my rules? And if it met all your rules and you took it, then guess what? Even if you lose, it doesn't matter. You've done a good job. You've been disciplined, and you're following your plan. And when we talk about controlling uncertainty, we will be facing uncertainty in the charts all the time, and it's stupid to think that we can control it because we don't know what's going to happen next. Now, you could say price is random, essentially, because in reality, if we really don't know what's going to happen next with absolute certainty, then there's some element of random to it. Whether you like it or not, that's just how it is. There should be no problems to enter a trade, part of your rules. Professional traders take a trade regardless if they think it will lose or not. Alright, and I mean, lots of people on YouTube are traders, and they have these videos, and they show that they win, but when I say professional traders, I'm talking about the people that have been doing it for 30, 40 years, people that are older, and they're not really on YouTube. They've been doing it at Wall Street, inside banks, for banks, on the floor. These people trade a whole lot different than the ICT YouTube traders you see, and these traders trade with a mindset where they have rules and they follow that. And in fact, if you work as a trader for a job, for a bank, they give you, from what I know, they give you some capital, and you're expected to follow the rules they give you. If you don't follow the rules they give you, you can get fired. So, this is basically how they think, that they'll take something regardless if it loses or not. Just the only thing that matters is it part of the rules. Discipline. Why is it important? Being able to calm down, and this is the first sort of mental strength. Actually, the first thing you need to have to be profitable. But it's important because it means you're able to calm down and retain order when under pressure when it's crucial. And this contributes to the discipline by allowing you to focus on a process. So again, like I said, this discipline is the act of doing something whether you like it or not, because you believe, and this is the important part, is that you believe it will be good for you. In the bed, when you make your bed every morning, you do it because you believe that when you get back home that night, it's going to be a lot easier to slip into your bed, and it makes your life more organized. You're practicing keeping your room clean, not messy. And that's easier, when you start work. Me, when my desk is always clean, it's much more easier for me to focus to start work. It's much more easier for me to start cleaning and dusting my room so that I can breathe better. And I think that making my bed and cleaning my room regularly and folding my laundry and keeping my laundry in a laundry basket is good because it allows me to have more space to breathe and to relax in. Make sure you're always calm when you trade. Be wary of high blood pressure or heart rate. Some ways that I like relaxing are playing with jewelry, bounce balls, coins, etc., breathing and stretching exercises. So, this is very simple, but if you notice you have a high blood rate high heart rate, you need to relax. And distracting yourself sometimes, like looking at a watch, just tick, or a clock, that, or just playing with a bounce ball or some one of those stress balls, or just flipping a coin. That's some of the things that I do to kind of relax. There's obviously stretching exercises too that you can do to lower your blood pressure and your heart rate. But this will release chemicals in your brain that will help you relax and fight off the stress and anxiety you're feeling about trading. So if ever you're in a trade and you notice that, just set your stop loss and take profit and start to do some of the stretching exercises or distract yourself. And you should always try and, it's a good practice to regularly do stretching and breathing exercises, because it will just help your body be more relaxed and you'll live, a better life in the long run. Now, the next point is remove or lower the risk and get comfortable with price. So obviously this is up to you. If you think that there's too much risk on the line, there's too much leverage, obviously reduce it or go back to pivot trading. If you're in this to the means of gathering data, if you don't have that model where you will have it for the rest of your life without changing anything, if you're still in the process of gathering data, then you shouldn't really be risking too much. And you shouldn't be looking to do this for a living. Far from it. And the last point is having discipline is the ability to retain order under pressure. Being able to calm down and focus on a process that consists of rules and regulations is achieved by separating yourself from the short-term outcomes and involving yourself in the bigger picture. And it's very simply what it comes down to. It's the ability to calm down, focus on a process, and that's achieved by separating yourself from short-term outcomes, and you're really focused on the bigger picture. So what will your rules do for you in the long run, as you manage the uncertainty? And that's determined by the set of rules that you must follow. Conquering fear, and this is a big one. Why is it important? Conquering fear is what allows you to change your behavior. And the thing is that it's not important to get rid of the fear. No one will really ever get rid of the fears, and fears aren't necessarily bad. It's just the way you respond to the fear is different depending on what you believe. And we humans are special because, like an animal, if they fear something, the animal will run and it won't act the same way a human does, right? But we're able to look at certain events that cause us to feel stress or fear, fear of, let's just say, death. And we're able to ask ourselves what is the best way to respond. When an animal is kind of wired to respond in a fight or flight sort of mindset, will either attack by defending itself, or it'll run away, or maybe it'll play dead or something. Some animals will do that. So there's really always just three options: play dead or submit. There's like three sort of things that they can really just do, and they don't really do anything else. But humans were able to say, okay, what am I afraid of? Okay, why am I afraid of this? And what would be the best course of action so that I can behave a different way than I naturally would in response to the fear? So you'll never really get rid of the fear. You're just analyzing why you're afraid of it, and you're choosing to behave a different way. And over time, you can probably get rid of these fears, but it's not important. It doesn't mean that you fear something, that it's a problem. So keeping trading a secret is a product of fear. And this is a big one for me because there's I've been told by lots of people, by my educator, ICT, when I did learn from him, and he would always say, don't tell anyone about your trading. And I think that you'd only really do that if you're giving power to fear. Because, it's true, other people can judge you, your family can judge you, and it might be very bad. But, however, if you have a deep-rooted confidence in your rules and you know that they're going to work, then very simply, there shouldn't be any room to allow judgment to come into your trading for people to essentially change the way you trade because you believe your rules. And so, the quote that fear has the power that you give it, don't let it control you, is very true. You have the power within you to recognize your fears and take action in a way that allows you to move past those fears. And so simply, you should be open about your trading. If someone asks you, what do, you should tell them what you do. And if they judge you for it, just don't worry about it. It's very simple. It's not really something you should be concerned about what people think. You just continue doing it and following your rules. And if you trust your rules and you have data to fall back on and trust and have that confidence, then it doesn't matter how much people judge you, you're going to continue following those rules. But I mean, I can agree they may make it harder, but by judging you, but I feel like it'll also make it easier if you're open about it, and if you're confident, then you can only gain from it by gaining support. If you open up to somebody who's willing to support you, maybe who's traded before, and they encourage you, those are all good things. Compassion is very important, because if you don't have compassion, you won't be able to achieve, especially if you've been through failure, you'll have a lot harder time to achieve profitability. But compassion means you're producing self-love. So to grow as a trader and to accept losses, you must learn to nurture yourself. Just be okay, that you've lost. Love yourself. Don't hate yourself. Don't think that you're nothing. You're less if you lose. Now let go of your pride and be okay with being less. Don't let expectations shape your beliefs if trading is about probabilities. And then compassion serves to allow for time and discipline to do the work of producing an income through following rules. And this is very important, that compassion serves to allow for time and discipline to do the work. It's a very beautiful quote. I love to just read it over and over again. But if you're patient, and if you believe that following the rules will make you profitable, so you have that discipline, it's easy to have that discipline if that's what you believe, then compassion is going to say it's okay if you lose, let go of your pride, and let's just continue doing this for another 30 trades, and in the end, we're going to be profitable. And last thing is visualization. And I want to say that visualization is a powerful tool to reprogram your mindset, but it's not something that you should rely on in the end, because this is something you should be doing after focusing on all these mental strengths. And I just very quickly summarized mental strengths, mainly discipline and fear and compassion, and then talk about the things that hurt us, like pride and greed and doubt. But if obviously there's a lot more, and I'm not a therapist, but you should go and study and look at how your trading is being affected, what makes your trade. A lot of this presentation was about what hurts me, but it might not be the same for other people. So I would say that visualization is important, but you need to understand that it's not the key. That you need to do the work to understand what hurts you, so that you can address visualization. Like you know what issues to address when you visualize things. But this is a little process that I sometimes do. I try to do it every day if I remember, especially if I'm trading, and it just involves about feeling and imagining success. Don't do it too often. Don't rely on it, because you don't want to mix up a visualization for actual success. And that's the end of the presentation. So I thank for anyone who's taken the time to listen to it. And again, I'm not saying that this is the key to everyone being profitable. This is, again, a lot about what I've been through, and I'm excited to sort of take all the things that I've learned and start to apply them a little bit more to my trading this coming year. And for that, I want to once again thank everyone that's watched, and wish you a good year, a good 2025, happy New Year's, happy holidays, and may God bless you.